Hey, GLP1 plus sides community. Before we jump into the podcast, please take the time to leave us a 5-star review on whatever audio platform you're listening to the podcast on. Share your story and how the podcast has helped you. This will help us get referred up in the audio platform so that we can reach more people that need our help, our support, and guidance from our doctors. Help us get loud and change things. Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault. Hey everyone, before we dive in, I really want to share something personal with you. About, I want to say like 8 to 10 months ago, after losing 100 pounds on GLP-1s and keeping it off for a long time, I started regaining out of nowhere, and I was terrified. But I also started having hot flashes and bouts of crying and snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m. unable to go back to sleep. It turns out I was in perimenopause. So I started hormone replacement therapy, which is also called HRT, through a telehealth called Winona that specializes in this. And it changed everything. And now I'm sleeping better. And my hot flashes are all but gone, thank God. And I feel like myself again. And it turns out that you can actually start perimenopause as early as 35. And well, I'm 46 and she's here. HRT has really come a long way, and there's just no need to suffer anymore. So if you're like this and you're in the same boat, you can check out buywinona.com and you can use the link in our link tree to save some money.
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Ro now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, with results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not one, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
Welcome to the Plus Sides Podcast. How you doing, Kat?
We have been chatting.
We have.
Backstage cutting up.
We are very, very silly and also tired, which is probably why that we're like this tonight. So we're glad to have you with us.
Yeah,
hey.
Thank you.
How you doing, Kat?
Hey.
What's up?
Hi, everybody.
Listen, it's been a day. I ain't gonna lie, but I'm very excited to be here with you guys, and with my Kit Kat and with our special guests. So we will talk all about that tonight. I want to start by doing intros. So if you are a regular and you love us and you don't want to hear this again, this is your cue to fast forward. However, we get hundreds of people a week. So I don't know what to tell you guys. We have to tell you where. That's how that works. So my name is Kim Carlos. This is the Plus Sides Podcast. I am the producer. Kat is my co-producer. We are besties. And we run this podcast. Our podcast is ranked in the top 1.5% of all podcasts, as Kat would say.
In the world.
I love to count. And we are all about metabolic disease. We are a community. We provide education and advocacy, and we interview doctors and community members all about not just GLP-1 medications, but anything that has to do with your health. If you struggle with metabolic disease, our podcast has won 4 awards. And we are a big deal, and we are so glad to have you here because we wouldn't be any of those things if it wasn't for you. and your
kind
support.
of a big deal.
And while you're listening to this, I'm going to need you, if you're watching, to hit the little thumbs up.
Follow,
and
subscribe, do all the
like
things.
and subscribe, and please go leave us a review, because that is how we get ranked higher.
5 stars only.
Find us that need help. And we know there's so much misinformation, disinformation, all the things in this world today.
So much misinformation.
We need community. We need support. We need quality care. We need all of those things. And we try, Kat and I really, really try to provide that here for you. Okay?
Yes,
okay, we love you. Thanks. Kat, who are you? What you doing? What's up? How's it going?
I have been officially designated as Kim's social lubricant.
Yes,
so
that's right.
Call me Extra Lube. So I joke and I call myself like the spare plus sizer, because everybody knows Kim, like Kim. But when you see us in IRL, in real, like face to face, I am the butterfly. And Kim is the whoa people, and I'm like, hi. So I am Extra Lube.
You are. Well, that's what we say. It's because I'm like, she's like my social lubricant.
Because jelly.
She like brings me out of my shell, and she gets me talking to people and stuff. Because if you leave it to me, guys, I'm going to be over in the corner talking with 1 to 3 people, and those people and I will just be talking their ear off about this subject. Like, and then if you want to talk about anything else, that's when I get kind of weird. I don't really know.
Well, yeah. So I walk around and just nerd out on everything, because
she does.
Yeah,
she's awesome.
So just call me Extra Lube.
Extra Lube. So well, I'm so glad that you were my extra
lube. But I lost 80 pounds on the MJ.
That's right.
On this journey for like 3 years.
I feel like it's more than 80 now, because you started losing again after you got on HRT.
Yeah, after I got on HRT. It could be more. I think it could be like, so my highest weight was 320, but that was like, I vacillated. I went up and down between like 320, 300, 320. Yeah, it was well lubed. That binging was very lubed. The ice cream lubricated the esophagus. You know what? We're going to get really deep. Nope. That is so many jokes waiting to happen. And I'm not, listen, we are not a rated R podcast, right? So let's... But anyway, yeah, and it's like so like when I try to do it on my own, like 20, 30, and then so at my highest though, like it was like 320, right? And I'm at about 225. So yeah, I'm getting there. I guess I am at 90 pounds. I'm a little bit over 90, right?
Yeah. Well, if it was 320 and you're 220-ish, and then you would be almost at 100.
Almost at 100.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And see, but you hit stalls and plateaus and all the things are so
follow
normal.
my journey. Follow me, Kat Carter 7 on TikTok. You will see all of the, and you follow us here. You will see all of my whiny phases. You'll see my face go expand and shrink throughout the years while we're doing the podcast, because I was also in perimenopause and didn't start taking HRT until the end of last year, and it was life-saving. And and my husband thanks me.
Quick plug for Winona, HRT Save the Day. Yeah, Winona. We have a whole episode on that. Go watch it. We got a code and all the things. Quick, Kat, what's your code for Winona?
Dr. Kat Brown. Just go to my link, and I don't have my
we have a link tree.
Go to my link. It's in my link tree.
Yep. And there's code and all things, and you can sign on. And we are big fans.
Yep,
we're big fans.
So, you know what? Speaking of menopause, Kim, I got to say this, because you know what came in the mail today?
What?
It's okay.
What is it? What is
it? It is a Weight Watchers advertisement.
Oh my God. Are you shitting me?
Ma'am, we have grown. We have grown. You know what? One of these days I'm going to get deep. One of these days I'm going to get deep and be like, Kim, let's talk about why it makes you feel that way. But you know what? When you're socially lubed. So anyway, Queen Latifah, but it's menopause support.
I do love Queen Latifah.
So they changed it from WW to Weight Watch back to Weight Watchers White, but it's Weight Watchers for menopause. Listen, I can't knock their hustle. So, but it came in the mail and I said, oh, and it's Queen. I love Queen Latifah. We are living single.
I'm getting like a rush.
Okay, well then let's talk about the book. Our guest today.
Anybody that's been watching this show till forever knows I have a complicated past with Weight Watchers.
But you have grown.
I have, but that about threw me over. What are you doing recording that with me?
I thought you had seen it before.
I just thought it was like a Winona thing because it was purple. I was like, oh, something new from Winona. Yeah. And then it was all like Weight Watcher and Queen Latifah. I mean, that was the only saving grace because I love her.
We are living.
Yeah.
Single.
Anyway, all right.
Yeah, let's go watch all the reruns of Living Single. I love that show. But anyway, let's go back onto the subject at hand. I'm sorry. I thought you saw.
Thanks,
you were laughing. No. My bad.
Well, it was good TV, I guess.
Listen, I'm social lube, so
social lube.
Back.
All right, lube us back in. All right, let's go back. Today, we're going to talk about something that's we talk about the healing journey for Kim, right? A lot of that is
all about that in this book too.
As diet culture, it's definitely going to come up in this conversation. I do feel like I was on the other end of it until you said that, but I'm still there. It was just a gut reaction. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. Why am I so squeaky? I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay,
no,
Ross.
Anyway. We got way over our intro this time. We did.
Guys.
Woo! All right, we're going to talk about food, guys. We got to talk about food. We're going to talk about food and GLP-1s. I could not talk about this the first year we did this podcast because I just was in an, unending relationship with restriction and food. And there's a lot of trauma from that ever since I was a young kid, right? And my first diet was Weight Watchers. I talk about it a lot. It's on the first episode. So
we have all the growth, right?
Yeah. So it's on episode 3. That's Fat and Lazy, that episode on season 1. But anyway, I sound like I don't run my mouth about it here. Again, then why everybody thinks I'm the extrovert.
And none of them spare.
Anyway, I'm not, Caddis. So we're here to talk to you about that today. And we have a community member and a dietitian, and we're going to talk all about it. So without further ado, sorry for all that. Blame Kat. All right.
I did not know that. I thought she knew.
I did not know.
Okay. So
anybody that's watching me knows I didn't.
We were, yeah, I thought. Anyway, let's go. Let's move on.
Hey.
Hello.
Welcome, Gianna.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Let me get my 2.
Oh my gosh, wait, I have
mine's a little blurry because I have the blur on.
The GLP1 Solution.
We have to get the way.
We're so coordinated.
All of our blurry. We are coordinated. We are a big fan. This is part of our logo colors. So we love turquoise, teal, whatever you call it, turquoise, I call it. Because we wanted our logo to be very like 80s, like jazzercise. That's why it looks like that.
Honestly, nailed it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I totally see that. Like that absolutely is fully pulled together with that. Honestly, I did not get a say in like the cover, but really? my 2 big, well, I have a whole like palette of my brand colors, but my 2 big colors are pink and blue. Not the exact blue of the book, but close enough that I was like, honestly, so on brand. I love it. They sent me like the design initially to be like feedback, thoughts. And I was like, honestly, love it. Couldn't do it better. So you guys do you. Like, so hands off. I'm like, it's beautiful. The words are big.
Let's talk about what your book is called first. And then after we do that, we're going to start breaking into your story. And I'm going to dig into some food stuff with you. Sound good?
Would love to. Let's do it.
What's the name of your book?
So yes, my book is called The GLP1 Solution. It is, technically that is the title itself, but the subheading of the book is 175 plus. There's actually like 186, I think. Strategies, tips, and tools to maximize your weight loss and feel your best on semaglutide, tirzepatide, and more. So kind of a long subheadline there, but I'm pretty sure it's 186. Because I couldn't stop writing. They were like,
well, it's good for SEO, right?
Flowing. Yeah.
We actually may have that be the name of the episode because that's some good SEO right there. I love it.
Good. Yes. Yeah. They had the vision, the publishing house had the vision for it, and they were like, you want to write a book? And I was like, sure.
Great.
Let's do it.
Love it.
And they kind of told me their vision, and I submitted a sample of my writing, and now here I am, literally a year later with a book that's published in the world.
Quick pause here. I've had moments on my GLP-1 journey where insurance changes or rising costs force me to look for a new provider. And honestly, that process can feel very overwhelming. But that's why the Plus Size podcast is partnered with GLP Winner to give our subscribers a resource to help them make that decision easier. GLP Winner is a comparison platform that lets you explore telehealth providers in all 50 states, whether you're looking for brand name medications or compounded options. You can see pricing up front, read reviews, and get a clear picture of which provider might align best with your needs. Check it out today at glpwinner.com/plus sides. That's glpwinner.com/plus sides. Don't forget the Z. Let me tell you a quick story. I was telling Kat how I was regaining weight after my 100-pound loss using GLP-1 medications, and I was having snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m., and I had hot flashes, and I was worried. But Kat was like, listen, I went through this last year. It's perimenopause, and I started HRT, and she used this company called Winona. So I started going there to see if this was something that was going with me. Turns out it was, because I'm 46. And it's been amazing. It's taken a while to find the right dose, but once I did, it's just been huge. I've been sleeping. I feel more myself again. And the hot flashes are gone, which is, geez, really bad. So I will tell you, it's just been so big for me. And so I wanted to partner with them on the podcast because obviously many of our listeners are going through this same age range and definitely are having these issues. And there's just no need for you to suffer. So if you go to the link that's in our link tree, you can click on that and save money. If you go there and you meet all the criteria, and this might be something for you to try. So I just want to make sure you had this great resource because it's just been such a big difference for me and Kat. Again, you can go to the link in our link tree and get what you need.
"20 seconds a week to lose 20% of your weight in a year with diet and exercise." That's the power of GLP-1s through Ro. Ro helps find the medication that's right for you, based on cost, availability, and your weight loss goals. Losing weight with GLP-1s is possible through Ro.
That's amazing. Like, legitimately, as someone who's been writing a book for 500 million years about all of this and what I've been going through, like, it is such an accomplishment to write a book, especially about the subject. You know what I mean? And I applaud you. Huzzah.
Thank you.
Round of applause. It's so fantastic. So hard to do. I'm still not done. I only got the first chapter. I got the outline. I know everything it's going to be about. I just got to do it.
I read this entirely on the way to Omaha, Nebraska.
So we have really good questions to go over with you. But before we get started, let's talk a little bit about we know you, right? Because you're a member of our community, and we also met at the Obesity Action Coalition's Your Weight Matter conference. And so we know you, but other people don't know you. So tell us a little bit about who you are and how you help people.
Yeah, I would be happy to. So, my name is Gianna Beasley. I am a registered dietitian and certified personal trainer, along with a couple other additional acronyms that you could throw on my name. But for simplified purposes, that is who I am. I have been a dietitian for over 5 years now, and I have a private practice where I help people who take GLP-1 medications, but also I help women who don't take GLP-1 medications just with their own health goals in life. I actually became a certified personal trainer in the process of also becoming a dietitian because I knew that I wanted to be able to help people ethically and safely with nutrition and fitness because I think they go together. I also have additional certifications in like mindset work and things like that, because I always say like you cannot have great physical health without mental health there as well. They go hand in hand, and our relationship with our bodies is very complex. And a lot of times it's the mental challenge that goes with the physical. I'm based in Colorado, but everything that I do is virtual. So I actually help people all around the world. I have people all the way in Singapore that I'm working with. So all across the world, I work with people, like I said, GLP-1 or no GLP-1. I will say over 50% is GLP-1 specific now. That's not how I started as a dietitian. I started more in the functional like medicine type space. So I believe in a very like holistic, well-rounded approach to care, which I think you can see through my book because I talk about a variety of topics from like literally like meditation, or all the way to, like the actual like macros inside of things, like counting calories or counting macros. Like I think it all matters. But I think what matters most, and kind of my philosophy as a dietitian, is all of us are different. What I tell one person, like Kim, like my advice for you would definitely be different, might be similar, but would be different for Kat. Like
That's cool.
we are our own people. Yeah. So while we have similarities, like all three of us on this call, so this is a little bit more about me too. I'm on a GLP-1 medication. I started Mounjaro back in October of 2022. So I am.
You're an OG, babe. You're an OG.
He's an OG.
Yes, but I have this fear of social media that I'm currently working on getting over. When we met at the OAC, actually, it's funny because I felt like a couple different lunches that I had with people was like actually a small intervention to be like, you need to start posting on social media more. And I'm like, please let me go like hide in a brown paper bag and like not be on social media. Because I am a sensitive girly. So like I live in this weird space as a dietitian, but also someone who wants to share my journey. And I have been sharing my journey. I've posted educational content on social media. My primary platform is not TikTok, like most people who I know in this community. My primary platform is Instagram. So you can scroll back literally 5 years on my Instagram and find educational posts 5 years from 5 years ago on. So there are hundreds of posts there. And so, when I look at the grand scheme of things, I've been on a GLP-1 now for essentially 3 years. And I actually started it for my PCOS and my insulin resistance. And so I realized I actually recorded a video. This is where it all started for me in sharing in this space. I had my podcast already, but I was more in the functional medicine space. Like I said earlier, I had other guests coming on. I was talking about general nutrition stuff. And then I shared my basically 1 year anniversary taking a GLP-1, and it exploded. Like to this day, it's my most listened to episode, my most downloaded episode. And I was like, oh. But when I first started, like literally the day I did my first shot, I made a video on my phone, just me in my living room, sounding kind of stuffy actually, like I am right now, because I just got back from Europe currently. And ironically, 3 years ago, when I took my first shot, it was 2 days after getting back from Europe, and I came back with a cold also. So apparently Europe and I, we love each other, but we come back with a cold, probably because I try to do 17.
It's impossible not to. Like, you know what I mean? Especially on planes. Planes are gross.
Oh my God.
So nasty.
Well, honestly, I got to tell you, everywhere we went, people were hacking a lung everywhere. I'm in the Sistine Chapel admiring the work on the ceiling, and you just hear people like around the corner just like hacking a lung, sneezing, and like I'm just like cringing every time I hear it, and I'm like, it's coming for me. It did come for me, unfortunately, but we're making it work. But I recorded this video, very dimly lit, and was like, I literally started with, I don't know if I'm ever going to share this, but I'm Gianna. I'm a dietitian. I'm starting a GLP-1. I'm like afraid to share this because there's so much stigma around it. And then I sat on that video for a few weeks and was like, wait a second. I should be sharing this because I almost didn't take a GLP-1, even though as a healthcare provider, I knew how beneficial it could be. I knew how great it could be for me personally with my own health. But I was like, if I was afraid to take it because of the stigma, surely a bunch of other people are too.
Don't call me Shirley. No. Shirley,
Gianna, do you remember that? Is Gianna, are you old enough to remember Airplane?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Yeah. All right.
So
I'm so weird. Okay, go ahead.
No, I love you guys. You're like my perfect brand of fun. But so that's kind of like a little bit about me and my background. I got my bachelor's, I did my dietetic internship, then I got my master's degree. I have like a whole wall of all the other certifications I've got. I've spent actually almost as much on my on additional certifications as I did on my master's, because I love learning. Yeah. But more importantly, like I want to provide the best level of care that I can to my clients that I possibly can. And like I said, that for me included the fitness piece of things, included the mindset piece of things, but I wanted to make sure I actually had the education, the experience, safe and ethical way to do it. I'm big on that. Because I think that the world of social media can be amazing. I mean, it's how I've met you guys, like before I met you in person. It's how I've met so many other wonderful people in this community. But also at the same flip of the coin, part of what scares me so much about social media is there's a lot of misinformation on social media, which then sometimes I feel like takes the fun out of social media for me, because I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's hard for anybody that's in the healthcare space to like see what people do and stuff like that. I think that, you know, like it's a weird thing. So since you went here, we're going to go here. Okay. So when it comes to like this space, I will tell you, it is hard for me. And I think Kat too, we both feel like posers a lot of times because we are not medical professionals. I'm not even medical adjacent. I just interview doctors on the internet. And yet I'm out there trying to simplify this message for people.
Would
And
I
it
be
is
medical
because,
adjacent?
yeah.
I am. My sister's a doctor. Okay, go ahead.
That's not adjacent. Like I'm not like
Is
I would
that
say like,
adjacent?
no. I mean,
Well,
like
I
I'm
am
not,
not
I mean,
medical adjacent.
like to me, like medical adjacent would be like you work in the medical healthcare field doing something. I'm a product marketer in cybersecurity, right? But what I do is I take very complex things and then I break them down to things that are digestible so people can understand them and ultimately buy, win, sell all things, right? And so for me, like that's what I saw that problem that you're talking about here.
See?
And I was like, we got to get ahead of this. At the end of the day, the platforms would not exist and be successful, like in terms of TikTok and the IG and the lives and all of that, if there were enough doctors, right? If there were enough specialists, if there was enough access to those doctors where people could afford it, if there was enough access to the medication where people could afford it and be able to get it. And if frankly, the ones that were providing it were doing their job better. And I'm saying that because for the most part, we usually have weight experts on here, like endocrinologists, bariatric surgeons, obesity specialists, dietitians, like people who are experts in this area. And the reason we do that is because we want other PCPs and other doctors to come here and be able to learn from that because they're not doing it right. A lot of them are not doing it right. And our people, our community is suffering. And it's what gets me out of bed every day to try to solve that problem. I think the issue is there's a lot of well-meaning people out there that are coaches and things like that. But at the end of the day, it sort of can be like the blind leading the blind, right? Because a lot of us have been very much, I would say, you got me soapboxing. Very much, I think, like from a diet culture perspective, traumatized. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And even just the way the society is and the way what it's like to live in a big body here. Like there's so many things. And so we can be very kind to each other, but ultimately it's just like you said, we're all individual people. So I think like that fine line of not being able to give medical advice, that is really hard to not cross, but you have to say that and do that. And but there are plenty of people out there. Again, I think they're well-meaning. They know it, they've seen it. So they think it's so, but ultimately it's not a replacement for a doctor or a very educated dietitian. It's not a nurse practitioner, none of it, so we have a lot of experience in that area. But ultimately, like we can't tell people like what to do. So what Kat and I do is we try to empower people to go to their doctors and talk to their doctors, and have conversations with their doctors. You know what I mean? Or their providers, right? Like it's not always in a doctor. As we said, there aren't even enough doctors to cover and treat the amount of people that have obesity. There's not enough. So we have to solve for the problem. And so I feel like we're kind of doing that together, right? Like through social media. I think that would be great. And I have been talking to OAC about this. If we could find a way to get where we could be certified, right? So that people who were talking about this were ones that have been educated to say certain things, right? And to not say others. And there was compliance and like things that we had to fall within. I feel like that would be a good thing because it would be more trusted. And I think like with the age of AI coming up, like this problem isn't getting smaller, right? It's getting bigger. And knowing who you can trust and where to go is it's like a chasm. It's just massive, So anyway, soapbox.
No, I think that's so fair. And I think too, like a big part of my personal story that like I can very heavily relate to, like I didn't just become a dietitian for funsies. I mean, it is fun. I love what I do. Yeah. However, I didn't start as a dietitian. I started in nursing because I knew I wanted to help people. But I was working in the hospital as a CNA, so a nurse assistant. And I was like, oh, heck no. I cannot. I was like, this is not how I help people.
Yeah.
I saw people laying in hospital beds and I'm like, you could have avoided being here if you had talked to someone earlier, if you knew this earlier. And so that's when I was like, and switching majors. And so I was 2 years into my bachelor's and I was like, and we're gone. We're going to go be a dietitian instead. But a big driver of that for me is my own health story and like my family members who struggled with like chronic diseases, autoimmune conditions, things like that. But I think for a lot of us, and obviously like for people who don't know me, you just see like my head or you're hearing my voice. I live in a plus size body. I have technically lived in a body bigger than my peers my entire life. I have never been the small friend. I have never been considered a normal size. So I am a plus size healthcare provider. So I have lived in a bigger body. I have that experience as well. And you don't have to have experience in certain things like taking a GLP-1 or living in a bigger body to be a great healthcare provider. However, I will be very honest. It's given me an indescribable perspective of like, people do come to me and we're talking and they're like, I know that you will understand this. And I'm like, I completely understand to my very core every word that you're saying right now, because I've had that same experience on an airplane, or I've had that same experience with family members commenting on my body. Like I've lived it as well. Like I have that professional experience that I'm working on being more like I have that experience, like, because I'm kind of normally very like, oh yeah, well, like I have my master's degree. And then I'm like, wait, yeah, I have my master's degree. Like I cried at my laptop for like a whole year doing an accelerated master's program with a big focus on PCOS. And so for me, I had terrible experiences with doctors.
Yeah. Why don't we talk about that? Let's talk about your story. So the way that our show usually works is just you're special because you're both. Sometimes when we have somebody that's both, this is how we do it, especially if it's someone that's in how, like we've done it with Dr. Rentiera, struggles with obesity. And sometimes she comes on with us and she's as a patient, she's also as the provider, right? But our goal is to be able to provide stories to move the heart and logic to move the head at the same time, because we're trying to change things, right?
Before we get into it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got to say it because when I picked up this book, so people who out there who are like me, check your ego a little bit. I was like, because I've always been kind of stinky about it. I'm like, oh, I've never gotten food aversion, and I've never had no appetite. I was being snarky. Like, well, what's this going to help me with? But I need to read. But I wasn't that snotty about it. But I need to read this because this is a very useful tool. So my ego got checked like within the first page. I was like, oh, I need all of these tips. So if you don't think it applies to you, like, oh, I eat the protein, I don't get the diarrhea, the nausea, I don't get any of the food aversion. And, I still had to fight on the GLP-1 to kind of push the pounds down. Oh, no, this is very useful.
Yeah.
I think you should probably pick this up, like what Kim mentioned.
We'll put it in the link. We'll put a link in there so people can get it which will be great to be able to look at your book.
We mentioned, definitely pick this up, because if you are new to a GLP-1, and we always talk about like your doctors may or may not really know, just pick this up.
Yeah.
There's a plethora of information.
And it's a perfect way to be able to, I think, there's so many good books out there, but I haven't read one by a dietitian yet. So I think this is great. And what I want everybody to understand though, is where you come from. And what I mean by that is, when you first started forming the essence of you, right? What was that like? So you mentioned you had never been in a small body, right? I think that one of the biggest things that people find sort of life-changing on this medication, and why we have freaking social media platforms about a medication, is because of the life-changing experience that we have when we go from the before state to the after state, right? Which is right. So what was it like for you before? And then what was it like for you when you did try it? Because we know the logic of it, right? Which is that you took it, you tried it, you lost weight, you felt good, and all the things you wrote the book. But tell us what it was like and what it felt like, and what dots connected for you, right? When that happened.
Yeah. So not to go too far back, but to go back to childhood. So So to go all the way back to
this is long form content, friend.
This is exactly why I have my own podcast, because I love long form content. I am not built for social media clips. I am built for like talking to someone. Like I'm still that friend that's like, so like you want to catch up? I can call you. And they're like, why? And I'm like,
Kat hates it when I do that. She's like, I don't do the phone, Kim. Can we just voice text?
you can
okay on the weekend, you know, outside of business hours.
That's so funny. Well, and then my husband likes to make fun of me and my friends because we voice memo each other back and forth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it just saves time this way. And then he sent me like a meme one day that was like my wife and her friend saying that voice memoing saves them time when they literally spend more time talking in the voice memo than they would have on a text. And I was like,
I feel it. I understand it.
Yeah, she's like, oh, yeah.
And my soul, Gianna, I get it.
Will come for me. So if we go back basically to, I was going to say little me, except for I've been the same height since I was 10. So I don't really feel like that. I've been like 5'1", literally for like the last 18 years. So someone said once that I give off tall person energy when they met me in person. They were like, but you're really short. And I was like, oh, thank you.
I don't recognize people how tall or short they are unless they're very, very tiny.
Tall person energy.
Yeah, tall person energy.
They were like, on Zoom, you gave off tall person energy, but in person, you're like really short. And I was like there with a 15-year-old that I was chaperoning, and she literally was like, did they say that to you? And I was like, yep, they did. I was like, it's fine. But, you know, flashing back to me as a kid, I will never forget this. And Kim, I know you mentioned like Weight Watchers was part of like your childhood. Boy, oh boy, was that also part of my childhood. I do remember that. I remember going, it wasn't Weight Watchers, but it was a similar type program where you like went in and you weighed in, and like there were a bunch of bars and shakes, and like you went to an office, and it's a FedEx now. I still live by it. It's a FedEx now, but the building is still there. And I think about it, like when I drive by, I'm like, oh, I remember that. And so it's one of those things that, like, to be very clear, I have the best mom. I have the best parents. I have the best family. Like, no childhood trauma from my family at all. My mom wanted the best for me, and she saw that I really struggled. And from a very young age, I played year-round sports. I was a 3-sport athlete. I was always in sports season. There was not a season where I wasn't in sport. I did basketball, volleyball, I swam, like to the point where like I was ranking at like the state swim meets, like in like the top 5. Like I was a year-round, very athletic kid. We did not grow up with like sugar in the house or anything like that. And not because it was like sugar's evil, but like my mom, that's just like not who my mom was. My mom was like the fruit and vegetable mom, where like dessert was like blueberries with a little whipped cream on top. Like, oh yeah, it was great. Like no complaints here. So like we were not the soda household or the juice household or the fun snack household. It was like my mom put chlorophyll drops in my water, and I was excited about it because I thought it tasted good.
What does that do?
Literally, I don't think it does anything for you. It just like it makes your water green, and it tastes like kind of minty.
Oh, that's fun.
I never knew that. Okay.
Just to make you drink your water, probably.
Yeah, I think she thought at one point there was a health benefit to it, but now me as an adult healthcare provider, I don't think there's like really anything. But now I like laugh as I say that, and I'm like, this makes so much sense why I have to have flavor in everything that I drink now, because I definitely grew up with, like I loved chlorophyll water. And I remember all my friends looking at me like I was weird. But I remember like a very core childhood memory, still live by my childhood pediatrician's office. I remember sitting in that office, and I remember my mom being like, I want to approach you guys. Like I want to discuss her weight again, because once again, she's gained weight this year, but like, she's very active. She eats well. Like I was always hungry.
And how old were you then? Because you are supposed to gain weight, you know?
Yeah. I was probably 11. Maybe 12.
You're supposed to get bigger.
Yeah.
Just say.
The problem with where I was at is I was technically gaining weight faster than like you were supposed to at that age.
Like you were out of your curve, right?
Yes. And actually, like, I'll never forget how my mom phrased this. And again, this is not shade at my mom. My mom is the best. She was just trying to figure out like, why is my child always starving? Like she eats adequate food, like, but basically how she described it to the doctor, and the doctor agreed, is I was 10 pounds heavier than my weight. So every year I was gaining at least 10 pounds. So like when I was 10, I was 110 pounds. When I was 11, I was 120 pounds. When I was 15, I was 160 pounds. Like it just kept going up. Like there was no end in sight. Like, and I started my period at 11.
Wow.
Which is like a whole other story, where I was in Brazil by myself without my parents. And like, that was just
that's
traumatic. Yeah. I probably wouldn't do that again in another life if I could choose, but you know, we made it through. But my cycle started at 11 and then like would come like maybe once or twice a year. But we were like, okay, well, maybe it's because I'm young. But by the time I was 15, they still were only coming once or twice a year, and my weight was still climbing. And so my mom fought tooth and nail with my pediatricians and with other providers to try to get answers. And so I'm actually very lucky. Like nowadays, right, in 2025, women are being diagnosed with PCOS a little bit more easily. There's more awareness to it, recognition to it. Like, but when you think about basically 2011, there was not a ton of recognition around it. So my mom worked really hard to keep digging for answers. And basically, there's diagnostic criteria for PCOS. And once they actually did labs and once they looked at everything, once we looked at my ovaries, they were like, oh yeah, every diagnostic criteria you could have, I have. So I got diagnosed with PCOS in 2011. And so that then was followed up with, okay, go see this other doctor and he's going to tell her what to do to lose weight. And I was on board, right? Because I'm a freshman in high school. I'm much bigger than all my peers. And like, I look back on it now and I'm like, haha, you were much bigger. I'm like, oh my God, Gianna. But like, I remember, like, I'm now sad for previous me because I'm like, you were so worried about what people thought about you and the body that you were in. Like, I want to hug her and be like, it's really okay. Like, and it's not your fault.
Yeah.
But it just felt like my fault at that point. Like being a 15
always
old,
does.
like,
I get it. I mean, legitimately, girl, I'll be 46 this year. 3 years ago, up until then, I thought it was all my fault. Like I thought all of it was my fault, that I was just weak and sad and pathetic, and that everybody else had food noise, or I didn't think it was food noise. I was hungry all the time, and that they were just tougher and stronger and mightier than I was, and, good news, it's not, so, but yeah.
And so
were you able to get any kind of medicine then? Like, did they put you on birth control, or how did that come about?
Great question. So I grew up in a Catholic household. And so I feel like most people who grew up in Catholic households are probably like giggling, like, I know where this is going.
I have many Catholic friends, so yes, that's why I'm like, oh, hell. Okay.
And I did. Like, I ended up getting a boyfriend my sophomore year of high school. And so when we started looking at this, basically they were like, let's try to actually, which is kind of surprising because I feel like this is not the case. The first actual thing was go see this doctor. He's going to talk to you about like losing weight. Let's try to manage this with basically losing weight. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to lose weight. That sounds great. When I tell you guys, I made the varsity swim team as a freshman in high school. So I was practicing for 2 hours before school started, and then about 2.5 hours after school, every single day, 5 days per week, with a swim meet every week. This man put me on 1,200 calories.
No.
And on the days where I had extra practices or like a meet, I got an extra, like, I don't know the exact number now, but I got like a small extra bump of carbs or something. I was so tired all the time. I remember at Panera next to my friends, because we would go there after morning practice, because all of us who had morning practice, on the team, we had the first period of school off, because like you don't just pluck your body from a pool and throw yourself into like AP biology first thing in the morning. But we'd go to Panera and everybody was getting their snacks, and I was sitting there and I had my protein shake. And I just remember being so hungry, but I wanted to lose weight. So I was like, okay. And of course, naturally, when your food intake is that low and your activity is that high, you're going to lose weight. So I lost, I want to say it was like 30 to 40 pounds. And I was like, I'm thin. This is great. I finally lost the weight, but I was so tired and I was so hungry and I was so agitated. But I had a boyfriend, because then, of course, that's like when I got a boyfriend at that point where I'm like, it's because I've lost weight that I then got a boyfriend, which, not to fear everybody, we've come very far from that. But like,
That's just
Did
called
you
being
start
skinny.
to binge? Because I know that was my issue. Like I remember doing Slim Fast in high school, right? And so that was the protein shakes. But I remember after a couple of days, the binging would surface. But I guess it didn't happen to everybody though.
I did not binge in that, like at that point in time.
Okay.
Because I was so determined that like this was like the solution, and like
Right.
if I was thin, I keep my boyfriend and like all this stuff, and like
Right.
I like look back on it and I'm like,
girls. Mm-hmm.
I wish
Our brains are not fully formed. You know what I'm saying? Like
Teenage girls.
The furthest thing. And so that's kind of like, those were my formative years of like, that was my experience.
Yeah.
And then I, of course, naturally couldn't sustain that long term.
Of course.
I have like a tendency to break things. Like, and when I say break things, I mean break things. So I fractured my back twice. I've broken my feet multiple times, my shins multiple times. Like,
oh, your shin.
Oh, yeah. So, needless to say, I break things a lot. Like literally almost 3 years ago, you guys, exactly. I'm like just 6 weeks shy of it. I got out of bed and ripped the ligaments in my ankle in half and had to have my entire ankle reconstructed.
Oh my gosh.
From getting out of bed.
Are you just klutzy?
No.
Or is there like an underlying thing there?
Well,
yeah, you need to be on glucosamine.
This is a health podcast. We can talk about it.
check back in with me in 3 weeks to see, because it was like it was 3 weeks after I got back from Europe last time that and I am hypermobile. So like I wouldn't be surprised if in the future a few more diagnoses come down the way, because I'm hypermobile. My knees, my elbows, they all hyperextend. So my hypothesis, I don't know for sure because I was home alone. My hypothesis is my knee hyperextended really fast back, which put too much stress on my ankle, because when I tell you guys, all I did was stand up. I hadn't even taken a step.
Yeah.
And I shredded my upper and lower ankle, but it was a 2-for-1 surgery. So I saved myself a little money. So bright side.
The bright side, Gianna. There you go.
The bright side. But so basically those are my formative years, right? Where like it is calorie restriction. My mom was trying so hard to help me. I was on board with it because I was like, this is the way. And finally I just like got to a point where, and I think this quick little side story, I had lost all the weight and I was going to a New Year's Eve party with my friends. My boyfriend was going to be there. And I remember crying in my parents' basement because even though I'd lost all this weight and I thought that this was going to be the solution, I hated everything that was in my closet. I felt like it was all too big. I didn't look right. Like I'm crying. My mom is trying to make it better by letting me borrow things from her closet. But then I'm like, how am I supposed to wear my mom's clothes and be like cool? Like it just was.
Yeah.
But that's like a core memory for me because I'm like, and that goes exactly to the point of it doesn't matter what the number on the scale is. You could lose all the weight and still be very unhappy in the body that you're in. But so those were my formative years. And eventually I got tired of being tired all the time and being hungry all the time and not eating what my friends were eating. So I started eating food again. Yeah. So I gained a little bit of weight. Then had to have my tonsils.
You started eating food again. Can you tell me what you mean by that?
That's wild. You started eating food, no protein shakes, right?
I mean, I was still, when I was eating 1,200 calories a day, it was like sandwich thins with like a specific amount of like deli meat and like a serving of veggies. Breakfast was like a smoothie. Like that's what it was. And so it's just like, if my friends were going to Panera, I was also going to Panera and I was going to get a breakfast sandwich from the Panera menu. I wasn't going to sit there and watch my friends eat.
You were just like living life. Like
I just got
food like everybody else would in America, like the way our culture is.
Yeah. Like when we went to the movies, I would have the popcorn at the movies instead of being like, I guess I'll like
sneak my
have water. Like, no, I didn't even sneak anything in. I just drank water. And I'm like, that's so sad. Get me a Coke Zero with some lime packets now, please and thank you. I now travel. You guys, I wish I had it up here in my office. I travel with a pocket size sugar-free coconut syrup and little like crystallized lime packets.
I get the lime packets, but where do you get the coconut syrup?
Amazon.
Boom. All right. Hold on.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Everybody gets your sugar-free coconut. And they're little. Like I put it in my little like
the lime and the coconut. Sorry.
I put it in I put it in my Coke Zero before and it's delicious. I put it in my Pepsi Zero as well. I am not brand loyal.
Specific. That's funny. I'll do Pepsi if I have to.
Although Coke, if we're going to talk about that, we can talk about that. Listen, Kat and I are on our hoe days. Listen, We could talk about that Coke. You want to
Even
sponsor this podcast?
or with
Coke
liquid
Zero.
death.
We love Coke Zero.
I'm a big Diet Coke and Coke Zero girly. But so I gained some weight back, then had my tonsils out, and this was unfortunate timing because it was March and prom is in May, and I had just broken up with my boyfriend of like a year and a half, and so I'm like, great, I'm gonna like have nobody to go to prom with, and like this says a lot about me in high school, but I talk about it openly because I'm like, this was me, so it's fine. So this is where, so Kat, earlier when you asked me if I like ever like binged it all when this was happening, not then, but then we got to this point where like I lost like 20 pounds in like 2 weeks because I was not eating it all after I had my tonsils out. It was a very bad experience. I highly recommend getting your tonsils out if you need to, but for me, it was terrible. Like I wish they would have come out as a kid, but I got them out at 17. And because I lost all this weight and it was right before prom, and I then ended up being asked to prom, I needed to fit in a prom dress. But I was so excited because for the first time in my freaking adult life, I was a size 4. Yeah. And I was like,
wow,
this is amazing. And I want to see if I can like quickly find the photo of it. But I was size 4 and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, she is beauty, she is grace. Like, this is it. Like, I can't.
She is beauty, she is grace. She is Miss United States.
Like that's literally how I felt. And now I like look back on it and I'm like, I'm in like a typical like pink dress that has like flowers across the chest, but like I was vibing. Like I felt I was feeling myself. And but to maintain that weight loss, I started skipping meals. I would take food to school and let my friends eat it so that my mom wasn't picking up on the fact that like I wasn't eating it. And the best way about this, I get a little emotional talking about this because I had a very good friend, Max, and he's not with us anymore, but he sat next to me every single day at school. And he picked up on it very quickly that I was purposely skipping meals, that I wasn't eating. And he was like, so here's what we're not going to do. And he was like, and if you don't listen, I'm going to tell your parents. And I was very afraid of my parents when my mom's still a little scary, if I'm being honest, like authority scary, where I'm like, I have enough respect for you that you do scare me a little bit. Yeah. In the nicest, like most productive way possible. But I took that like very seriously. Like it took him stepping in and being like, I don't want this for you. Like I want better for you. So like, you're either going to get it together or like, I'm going to get it together for you. And I was like, oh,
okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we need those friends.
You do.
And to this day, I 100% definitely do credit him for kind of stopping that before it got any further. Because like, I won't lie. I loved the fact that I was finally the size of my friends. I loved the size that like, I loved where I was.
I get
made
it.
me feel normal.
Yeah. For sure.
And
we all wanted to be the size of our friends. Well, most of us that were in a bigger body, you know?
Yeah. I wanted to be able to go to the sleepover and when we made a plan change, be able to wear my friend's clothes and not be the one that was still in leggings and a sweatshirt when everybody else is dressed cute, right? But like, that's such
I think that's super, super normal, especially as a teenager, right? Like, I don't think that necessarily goes away as an adult. So back to when you were growing up. So then you feel like you kind of got ahead of it or you started eating normal. And then what were you in school, like in college?
Yeah. So I kind of was able to maintain about where I was at. I gained a little bit of weight back, but like maybe 10 pounds, nothing crazy, still fit in my clothes, went to college, was very terrified, as I'm sure we all were like, oh, you go and it's a freshman 15 and you're doomed. Right. So I took working out very seriously. Like I maintained physical activity, like, and so I actually didn't gain any weight my freshman year. I maintained my weight the entire year.
Wow.
Then you know what I did? I went to Europe between freshman and sophomore year, and I gained like 15 pounds in 3 weeks. And I came home and was like,
and to be clear, 15 pounds in 3 weeks is a lot, but also on a 5'1" frame, right? Like, I think because I think of someone like me, I'm 5'9". So like if someone says 15 pounds to me, while that is a lot of weight, it is very, very different. My family is little and I am tall. So like when they gain 15 pounds, it looks like 30, right? So it's like, it just is very different. Like, I think so like, I can hear people being like 15 pounds, you know, No.
And it
No.
also makes me think
5'1"
of
is small. Like, it's a lot, right? You
it
know?
also makes me think of The Biggest Loser. You know, if you were doing all that crash dieting and all that restriction, you probably had damaged your metabolism like no one's business. So you probably picked up weight so fast just because of that. Yeah.
Just because of that. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And so I had the best time in Europe. Like we did
That's
a
good.
cruise, we rented a house, and I came home and was like, "Oh my God. Okay. That's crazy, but like no problem. We'll just get back to normal, like normal routine, and I'll lose it."
Yeah.
Boy, did that not happen, because then I got mono.
Oh, yuck.
I had mono in high school. It's the worst.
I actually may have had mono. I had mono already once. So I'm actually one of those unlucky few, which this just makes sense with my health
I get it.
history.
You've looked a lot of upper respiratory stuff, like what we were talking about earlier, right? Yeah.
Well, and I don't actually like other people's germs. So the fact that I got mono is just so cruel, because like I have no idea where I got it. It went around the freshman dorms, but like I will never.
You got it.
Wish I was dating someone at the time, and then we had a really.
That's where you got it.
No, I wasn't even seeing him because he wasn't at school with me. We had a really bad breakup, and I tried to be like, "Hey, just so you know, I have mono, so like you might want to get tested." And he was like, "Stop telling people I have mono." And I'm like, "Okay, you clearly think way too much of yourself. Promptly F off. Like, I am so over you." I was just trying to be nice so that you didn't go get like other unsuspecting girls sick. Like, you can, fine, go get somebody else sick. I don't care if they deserved it.
So many ways.
Literally, I'm like, you know what? Actually, this is karma. I was trying to be a good person, and I'm done being a good person. So see ya. But so I actually relapsed and got mono for a second time, which now has actually turned into chronic Epstein-Barr virus. But so it was the second time that I got mono that then it really just continued spiraling out of control. And basically in the span of, I feel like the further I get from this, like the harder it is sometimes to remember, but in the span of, and again,
that's how you know you're healing. That's what Dr. Toomer says.
I'm like,
you know you're healing when you forget.
So again, for people listening, I'm 5'1". Like I do not have long legs or a long torso. Like everything's just short. Okay. Like my legs are like 3 feet long on a great day. So in the span of like 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, I think it was roughly something like 70 pounds put onto my body. And my celiac disease was also triggered at the same time. So my body is an entire different shape. It's the biggest it's ever been in its entire life. Like, and I think for a lot of people who've probably had the experience where they see themselves slowly gaining weight, like the scale just kept creeping up and creeping up and creeping up. And then it like passed the 200 mark. And I'm like, how did I get here? Like, I'm not purposely trying. I wasn't like doing anything.
Yeah.
But because the additional autoimmune diseases were triggered and things were popping up, my inflammation was off the ever-loving charts. And so my body was just inflamed. But you know what? I did the work. I realized that and this was part of going to school to become a dietitian, is I realized that all those years of under eating so significantly and essentially overtraining, because I was, for the amount of food that I was eating, I was overtraining. If I was actually eating what I should have been eating, it wouldn't have been overtraining. But relative to what I was doing, I was overtraining. And so I finally realized, like, oh my God, I really shot it in the foot on that one. And I was like, okay, so we have to fix this. So I spent the better portion of 5 years, roughly, I would say, not dieting at all, just accepting my body for the size that it was, for the weight that it was at. I didn't even look at a scale. And I just really focused on trying to work on the health piece and working on the metabolism piece, I guess, more specifically is a better way to say that, because I actually learned how to count macros, and I started doing macro counting in high school. And so it got to a point where I actually, in that period of time, I was not actively trying to lose weight. I wasn't even tracking at that point, and I was able to maintain my weight. And it got to that point where like I was getting married, which was very exciting. COVID derailed that for an extra year, so that added a little extra stress for someone who lived in a body whose weight could fluctuate. If her insulin resistance was deciding to be a menace, that was a little extra stressful to not have to be 1 year away from my wedding date to fit in my dress, but 2 years.
Lord.
Like, I just like sneeze And my insulin resistance is like, what can I do for you today? And I'm like, nothing, please leave me
I get it.
alone. Like,
Yeah. It's
please
almost
don't.
like obesity is a complex disease. I don't know.
Almost. I mean, it's not really crazy concept, but so in 2019, I was sitting very comfortably around 215 to 220. I was like regularly in that range. I'd maintained there. I had built this beautiful wardrobe where like I felt so like empowered. I felt cute. Like I felt fun, sexy, all the things. Like I was living my best life. And like I was very confident in who I was, the body I was in, the work that I'm doing. I'm in my dietetic internship at this point. And I find my wedding dress. I go in knowing exactly what I want. I feel beautiful in my wedding dress. I'm like this cute little cupcake. And that's exactly what I wanted it to be. And then in 2020, or I was able to maintain that. So 2020 comes and goes. I'm able to maintain it, but I do start feeling like a little bit more inflamed. But it kind of comes and goes. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm able to maintain my weight. So I get married October of 2021, and I've maintained my weight for 2 years since I bought my dress in November of 2019. I'm still 220 pounds. I'm like, this is beautiful, wonderful, amazing. I enjoy my first couple months of beautiful wedded bliss. And then the beginning of 2022, I don't know what I did. I looked at the world the wrong way or something like that. I triggered another autoimmune disease that loves inflammation. And so markers have come back saying it's lupus, but then sometimes those can fluctuate. So for all intents and purposes, I've been told it's lupus, but I'm just like, and it does run in my family, my sister, my mom, my aunt, like there's a heavy family history. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's that, but I'm like, just like still in the denial phase of that. We're not thinking about it. I'm really focusing on how can I manage the inflammation in my body, because a lot of us who have had blood work done want our fasting insulin to be like less than 6. Okay, my fasting insulin was chilling in the 30s. I was in so much physical pain. I cried on a plane to London in March of 2022 because my hands were swollen. My whole body was swollen. And again, when we think about like weight gain, if you are someone who's taller, there's more area for it to be dispersed. But basically, between my wedding, October of 2021, and February of 2022, I gained like 25, almost 30 pounds. In less than 6 months. Like that is so painful, and it's all inflammation. My insulin is high, like, and I'm just in pain. And so that's like the very beginning of me being like, okay, like what in the heck am I going to do here? Because throughout life, people tried to put me on metformin. I hated metformin, and it did nothing for my PCOS. And
But you will poop regularly, I hear.
Unfortunately, way too regularly. Like it made my tummy hurt so bad. And I was like, yeah, you can't work in a hospital and have an upset tummy your entire shift. So it's a no for me. But something that I like to be very clear about with people is like, my insulin was crazy high off the charts, and that's driving my inflammation up super high. But I've never had high blood sugar readings. I've never had an elevated A1C. I've never been pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic. This all links back to my PCOS and that insulin resistance. And like my body just doesn't work. Like it just does its own thing. And it's like, hope you're having a lovely day. And I'm like, yeah, I would hit you with a brick if I could.
It's so interesting to like look back, I think too, like on, I talked to so many people, we both do, like on here, and who, when they were kids, they sort of lived this life of just like restriction and yo-yo and all these different things. And you just can't help but wonder, like, how much did that set us on this course that's just not like possible anymore? And it worries me so much because like, I'll be telling you, like, listen, one day I was like scrolling, and I come across this like podcast people, because anybody can have podcasts, you know, and this guy had a podcast. He was talking to this other guy, and he was like, listen, like my daughter is a teenager. She was getting kind of hippie, and I put her on Redditruitide, and and now she's doing great. So what?
He really said she's getting hippie.
Yes.
I can hear that. You know what?
I'm like,
so crucial, that male gaze.
My head's
male gaze is
you know?
so crucial, especially as like a young girl. Like if your father says something like that to you, it is.
And then puts you on a peptide that hasn't been approved for anyone at all yet. Like this, you know what I mean? You're a kid, like, you know what I mean? Like It's
Yeah,
like,
and it's also,
it still goes on. My point in that is it still goes on. Like this is embedded in our society. It is embedded in our culture, like from an American perspective. It is. This is what it's like. And so
agreed.
like
It
you can't
is.
help but wonder, like I want to, that's why one of the reasons I do this podcast, right, is like I want us to get ahead of that, right? I want all of us who have kids and then our kids that have kids to like know about this so that shit doesn't happen anymore. Because it's, it's a big dream, but I think we can hope, because I mean, like, who knows if we could have been on, like you said, a different path, a different course.
Agreed.
So when you decided to take Mounjaro in 2022, had you, or at first, what did you feel? Like, did you feel something right away? Don't even think about like the weight loss, but like, what did you feel sort of like within your body, within your brain, anything different?
Yeah, so I would say actually my journey is a little bit different than probably what you like normally see online, because the highest I've ever gone is 7.5 milligrams, and it was only for 6 months, and I'm actually back on 5 now. I'm going to do a small science experiment on myself in the coming months with my doctor's supervision, of course. Sure. But so I approached my doctor and was like, I want to try this, and she was like, yep, I think it will be great. And I'm lucky that originally my insurance was like, yep, no problem, fill it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Won't ask any questions. We'll just fill it. Thank you very much. And so when I started it, I had a kind of a rough start because I had been on it for 3 weeks, and then I got out of bed and ripped all my ankle ligaments. And this was before they had guidance on stopping it before surgery.
Oops.
So I never stopped mine before surgery.
Yeah.
Or maybe no, I don't think I did.
I mean, really, it's just like, I mean, you were on a low, I don't know, like, what do I know? I know, doctor, but like you're on a low dose. It really is just for the anesthesia, right? Just so that you don't,
You don't vomit, because that could be,
like
dangerous. Yeah.
You can aspirate and definitely die.
Exactly.
So it's good that I didn't do that
before. Okay, thank you, friends. Love you. Bye. There's your PSA.
So when I first started it, I was like, okay, don't really like notice a difference, right? 2.5. Then I had a small disruption with surgery, because then it was afterwards where like I was like so afraid of potentially getting nauseous, because like my doctor was like, people do get really nauseous, and I am a Zofran girly. I have a Zofran prescription because I get car sick driving 20 minutes to my parents' house. Sometimes
when you're driving or when you're in the passenger seat?
Both. I've made myself car sick.
Gianna, that's hilarious.
I'm like, this is so, like, I'm so embarrassing. But actually, my doctor was like, we really should see if something's off in like your ears or something, because it's not normal to get this motion sick. And I'm like, I've had many concussions when I was in high school, to the point where like a doctor told me that I shouldn't ski or snowboard anymore.
Oh, wow.
Because of like the risk of being taken out. He was like, you've hit your noggin too many times.
You hit your noggin.
I did hit my noggin too many times. So I'm like, maybe it's something with that. But I'm like, a girl can only do so much at once. Like I'm tackling my biggest problem, which is my insulin resistance, my PCOS. So I did a month of 2.5, and then I went to 5. So basically by beginning of December 2022, I was at 5 milligrams, and I rocked it there. And I'll be honest, like I like only got on the scale, so I knew what my weight was going to be at the beginning, but like it definitely wasn't at my highest weight. And I wasn't doing it for weight loss. I just wanted my dang insulin level to come down, because I knew that's what was driving my discomfort. Like it felt like, I've never had anybody while I was awake, so I like can't tell you, but if I imagine somebody scraping my bones, that's what it felt like. My hips were on fire, my femurs were on fire, like everything just burned. My hands were so swollen that like my wedding ring didn't fit. Like everything just hurt. I was just in pain. And so that was the first thing that I really like started noticing, is like, I was like, wait, inflammation's coming down. I'm sleeping better at night. I'm not in as much pain when I'm flying. And something to know about me is I'm really bad at staying in the same spot for very long periods of time. Like I have my home base here in Colorado. I have a home and a husband and a dog and all those wonderful things. Everybody except for my sister lives here. But like I'm at the airport once a month at least, at a minimum. I just got back from Europe literally 48 hours ago, and I'll be back at the airport in 10 days. And then after that, I'll be back at the airport 12 days.
And then a few months ago, you were going to Europe, like when I met you in DC, right? Like you're a doer, you know?
So, we're just bopping around all over the place. But for someone who travels as much as I do, the fact that and so this is actually a big one, the fact that my feet would swell to the point where I couldn't bend my toes and I had to duct tape my Birkenstocks because my feet swelled so much on a flight that I couldn't get them in my shoes.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I understand. I know what you're talking about because when I was pregnant with my son at the end, I was regaining really, really hard, and I would wear Crocs. Like, you know how much room there is in a Croc, and I was the same kind of thing. I couldn't even get my foot to stay in the Croc because it was so big and swollen. So I had to get special permission from my doctor to go home and put my feet up so that they would not swell. I couldn't work all day long at the end of my pregnancy, and that was like honestly really my only problem in the pregnancy. But like, because I had obesity and insulin resistance and all the things, right? And so it's really awful. Like, I know that feeling. I know many of our listening audience can understand that too. Did you feel like when you started the medicine that reduced very quickly? Really quickly?
Yeah. Within the first couple months, and granted, I was not on any airplanes in the first couple months because I wasn't even walking. So, and again, that's like this also very weird parallel of my first couple months on a GLP-1. I couldn't even walk. I couldn't walk. I couldn't drive. But I will say, I think that my recovery if I had already been on the medicine for longer, I think my recovery could have been even better. But I do think my recovery from major orthopedic surgery actually went better because I was on the GLP-1, because my insulin levels were coming down, because I was improving inflammation wise. And something for me that I mentioned earlier is like, I was always hungry as a kid. I was always hungry as an adult. I actually don't have any GLP-1 in me right now because I didn't take it while I was in Europe, and I have to take my shot tonight. But I today was like, oh my God, I just ate and I'm hungry. And then I'm like, oh, this makes sense. I have not done my shot in 3 weeks. So I'm like, this makes sense why I'm hungry. But that, I would say, probably the food noise, the hunger piece almost immediately was silenced for me. And I was like, this feels very similar when I started medicine for my ADHD, and my brain just turned off and everything was quiet. And I'm like, wait a second, is this how people feel? And I was like, once again, okay, this isn't my fault. Like, my body just does different things. And I'm like, okay, this is great. So I'll be honest, I was that kid in their early 20s, mid 20s that was like stocking up on compression socks because I swelled so much when traveling. And I travel now with no compression socks.
That's great.
No, none at all.
At what point were you like, if I know what I know, right? And we're going to do your book now. If I know what I know about like food, right? And good ways to eat and nourish your body, plus this, because clearly these are the dots connecting. Clearly this book is those dots, right? Yeah. Of you going, what? Let me tell you, right? So I really want to understand that piece of it. And then we'll go into some questions and dig into your book a little bit so that our audience can understand how to possibly get it. And then apply this to their journey and their lives. Like, we call it a journey, right? Like when we first started, because you're going to do, we had hashtag GLP1 journey, but it wasn't even that. It was actually Mounjaro journey, hashtag Mounjaro journey. That was like the hashtag, which we can't even remember that. Yeah. But that was the one, right? And that's what everybody did. And that's how we tracked it. And it was fine. They didn't care and all the things. But I think what I've learned, and I think a lot of your story aligns with this doesn't have anything to do with weight loss. Mm-hmm. But I thought that the first year I was on it, I was like, this is a weight loss journey, Mounjaro journey.
150%.
Soon we're going to get to, maintenance and you know what I mean? All this different stuff.
It's weigh-in day and it's all of it.
It's weigh-in day. It's shot day. Like, everything on TikTok back in the day was all about accountability. I ate this. I weighed this. I did my shot. In
a day.
And that shit will stop and scroll, giving yourself a shot on the internet. I'm telling you, and that's something that I think that is really important to understand about this journey, that it's hard for me sometimes because people still start this journey thinking that, right? And I see them, but I know they got to come to it in their own time, right? So that's what I do the podcast. If we build it, they will come, right? They'll come, We'll come here, we'll talk about it, they'll learn, and then they'll connect with all these great healthcare providers like yourself so they can understand things at a deeper level, because this is a forever thing. And I don't mean it's a forever thing. Like when you take, like, and I hate to say it like this, but this is the way I think it resonates with people because of the misinformation. GLP-1s are not crack. It's not like you take it and then if you stop taking it, you're going to go through withdrawals and your body's never going to work right again or anything like that. Your body didn't work right to begin with, right? And this medicine addresses that, and then weight loss follows. Like that is what happens, whether you have obesity or diabetes or any of these different things. It's managing the metabolic dysfunction. And I think that people don't understand that. And then I think people like myself in general, like I was like, all right, like at some point I was like, okay, it's not about that. So then it's not about food. So then it's not about restrictions. So then it's not about diet and exercise. Like, what the hell is it about? It's about everything. Right. Mm-hmm. So because it's forever, it's managing and being the healthiest you that you can be. Right. And like whatever that equals 5'1", 200, right. 5'1", 250, whatever that is. Right.
Yeah.
So like at some point for you, I think that there was a connection. Right.
Yeah.
I want to know what that was. And then when you decided like, I need to write a book about this, and then if you just tell me that piece, then we're going to dig into some of the questions that we told you we would talk about. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will try to keep this as like condensed of an answer as possible.
Right.
But
now we're going to get into the booky sciencey stuff.
Yeah. So I think like realistically for me, when I realized like I kind of started thinking about GLP-1s myself because I saw another dietitian share about them. I was like, wait a second. I work with so many women predominantly who have PCOS that would benefit from these medications. Like if this could help me, think about all of my clients that I've had, because realistically, I work as a dietitian more in the like health coaching space, where like you're getting my knowledge and my experience as a dietitian. But like I said, I'm combining the nutrition piece, the fitness piece, the mindset piece. Like my clients check in with me every week. They're in my app. They have a check-in that's every week. They fill out all their info and then they hear me talk back to them for like 20 minutes sometimes of like, okay, let's talk through this. I want to challenge you to like think about this more. So at this point in my journey, I've been a dietitian for over 2 years. I've already worked with literally over like 200 women at this point. Like I was like, oh my gosh, think about how much of a difference this can make. And I was like, think about how much of a difference it could make if I actually started speaking to this population. And I actually had another RD recently call me like one of the original like GLP-1 dietitians that existed on social media. And I actually was a TikTok resistor. I did not join TikTok until the end of 2022. And the funniest part is I joined to share my ankle journey. So like my best content that still performs to this day is my like, get ready with me for surgery.
What is an ankle journey?
It literally just was like
destroyed her ankle.
Yeah. It was just get ready with me for surgery. Okay. 1 week post-op update. Me in my pajamas washing my face, being like, this was the worst thing ever. And like, I didn't expect that this would be terrible. Yeah. So basically it just was me being like, if I talk about this, I think more people could benefit from it. And honestly, for me as a dietitian, I love being well-versed in multiple areas, and everybody in the freaking world is like, you must niche down. And nothing ever felt supernatural for me. Like I've spent literally thousands and thousands of dollars on like functional medicine training programs and continuing education and things like that. But I'm like, I mean, to be very honest, like the one thing that's so easy for me to talk about is obesity medicine. It's GLP-1s. It's people with like other women with PCOS, because I literally like eat, breathe, sleep PCOS. So I was like, I think I could do a lot of good with this. Yeah. And for me, social media, like I've mentioned through this, it's its own like beast to like tackle for me, where like if I actually enjoy what I'm talking about, it's much easier to show up and do it. And so I was like, let me try this and see how this feels. And then I was like, oh, I love this. And like I said, I have my own podcast, name change maybe incoming. I don't know. I can't decide if we're changing the name on it or not, but currently it's called Game Changing Health. And like I said, it was just supposed to be about all health topics. I have personal trainers coming on, certified strength and conditioning coaches, other functional medicine providers, nurse practitioners, all these things, just so we can chat. Like, let's just talk, like, what's your philosophy? How do you help people? I had postpartum people coming on, like, just like a whole variety of things. And then, like I said, it was just like that one specific podcast episode that I was like, oh, people actually care about like what my experience has been on my medicine. So like maybe I should start talking about this more. And then as I started then consuming more content around GLP-1s, I was like, oh no, we have got to put some actual good information out there. I don't know if you guys ever watched Parks and Rec, where like Leslie Knope is like, all I have are facts and science, and everybody hates facts and science. And sometimes that's how it feels, because my content is not viral. I am not a big creator by any means. I'm a very small fish in a very big pond, because I'm not posting like the viral hooks or clickbait or anything like that. Like I just am posting legitimate information and like hoping that like somebody who needs it like will benefit from it. And so that's been my philosophy of content creation this whole time. And I could not tell you how this publisher found me, but I did not pitch the publishing house for a book. I was approached, and I actually thought I was being pranked, to the point where I pretty much wasn't replying to them. And they were like, hey, we messaged you. And I'm like, oh, are you a real person? I thought you were a bot.
Yeah.
LOL. So I like,
LOL.
I look up this girl on LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh shit, oh, sorry. I don't know if we can swear on here.
Yeah, clearly you watch the show a lot. We let it all hang out here.
Yeah, I usually the F-bomb Carlos. The F-bomb Carlos.
Sorry. Well, honestly, I try really hard not to, because then sometimes I notice like then it translates over and I'm talking to a patient and I like say something and I'm like, oh, sorry. Which for most people, they don't care because it's authentically me. But for some people, that's like not their cup of tea. But I just basically was like, oh, you must be not a bot. So I looked her up on LinkedIn, was like, oh shit, you're a real person. So I emailed her back and was like, let's talk about this. And kind of, behind the scenes, like I was telling you guys earlier, Nani is my mom's mom. She was my best friend for all intents and purposes. And unfortunately, she was diagnosed with cancer last year, and she did pass away last year. And so this was all coming about kind of at the worst possible time, because I got this message basically like right before Labor Day of 2024 being like, hey, we want to talk about this. And I'm like, haha, very funny. Ashton Kutcher, where are you popping out with like my punked camera? And then I was like, oh wait, you're like a real person. Okay, let me get on a call with you. So they tell me about themselves. They tell me what they're looking for. They were like, we have seen your podcast. So I'm like, finally, the podcast is paying off for something. Because really the podcast is just like me chit-chatting, because I like to chit-chat. And so I'm like, okay, this is cool. Potentially amazing, like an amazing opportunity. And if you would have told me in like my bachelor's, even my master's, that I would write a book, I would have literally laughed in your face so hard.
Sure.
Because I was the like college kid that figured out what I needed on my paper without any of the grammar, spelling, or punctuation points, because I'm not going to go proofread my paper. It is what it is. When I write it, I'm going to spell check it on like Google Docs, and like that is that. Like there is no, I'm not going back. So like the fact that like, and I hated writing papers. Like that just was not my thing. I like talking. I like podcasts. I like content creation. A paper, let alone an entire freaking book. I was like, but this would be really cool, and I feel like I could do it. But like I said, it was coming at,
and you did do it, and it's great. It's way more than 175 plus. Which I will tell you from a marketing perspective, this is actually quite brilliant. I do +1 a lot, like to grab attention. But I think it's really great, and there's like so many different tips and tricks and strategies in here. I think like what I feel like people would really want to understand, especially who can't afford a dietitian, right? Or don't have access to that. They hear a lot about macros, and that's something that I would say even after all of the diets that I've ever been on, and I've been on all of them, that I don't even know about. So I was hoping you could kind of explain that to us, and then explain how that can kind of go hand in hand, like thinking about macros with your GLP-1 and your journey to health, because it's not always easy.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And I think the first thing that I like to say for anybody that's considering tracking food of any kind, whether you're going to track calories or macros, it's an educational tool that is not meant for long-term use, in my opinion. That's like my philosophy as a dietitian. I think tracking can be a really helpful tool to actually have a better understanding of like the density of foods. Like you could run to your kitchen right now and come back to me with a plate, and I could tell you approximately how much each thing was, like serving wise. You could go weigh it, and I could guarantee that I'm going to be within an ounce on everything, because I've had that practice, not because I'm a dietitian, but just like I've had that practice of like measuring out my food, and like you get to learn kind of like by eyeballing, like that is about 4 ounces of chicken. So like I haven't personally tracked macros in years now because I practiced it for so long that I can now look at a plate and be like,
That's good for me.
I'm right about here.
But when you work with like one of your clients and they are going to track macros, like how do you figure that out with them? And what does that equal? You know?
So you can do it a couple different ways. And I think
maybe tell us what macros are.
Yeah, let's start with that. So
Start there.
Macros are just short for macronutrients. So we have 3 major macronutrients. For people listening that have some background, they might be like, there are 4, which like you're technically correct. Alcohol is technically a macronutrient.
Whoa.
But we're not focusing on that, you guys. We're focusing on our 3 main macronutrients: proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And so these are our 3. And something important to note is every single gram of protein and carbs has 4 calories per gram. And then fats has 9 calories per gram. And so that's important to know because I feel like a lot of times people don't understand the connection between calories and macros, where I'm like, literally, it's just a more specific breakdown of calories.
Right.
Because essentially, if I say I want you to eat 120 grams, I'm not doing head math. I vehemently am against head math. But if I say, okay, Kat, I want you to eat 120 grams of protein per day for whatever your goals are, multiply that by 4, that's 480 calories that are coming from protein. But you still are then going to get other calories from carbs and fats. And so essentially, when you're thinking about setting a protein goal, carb goal, and fats goal, that's essentially setting your macros. And so you have a target. Me as a dietitian, I do it where I like to actually give people a range because we're not robots. We need some flexibility, where we set like a range of these targets. But at the end of the day, what that adds up to is your overall calories. So you can do it many different ways. You could be as specific as literally just tracking proteins, carbs, and fats. And as long as you're hitting those targets, you're hitting your overall calorie target because it will add up. Now, not everybody is meant to track all 3. And if you've never done that before, I find that can be extremely overwhelming. So where I kind of like to do it like a step ladder where like, if you've never tracked before, just start tracking your food. Just like start putting it in an app
You
somewhere.
meet people that have never tracked before?
Actually, a lot of
that blows my mind.
Yeah.
That have obesity?
Yeah.
Ever?
Yep.
They don't track anything?
They've done like Weight Watchers
points?
and things like that. Points, yes. But like to actually ever like track in like an app like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer or Lose It, My Macros Plus, like there are so many people that like were scarred by basically points.
Well, I'm definitely scarred by it. That's why I don't want to do it anymore. But I do think that there gets to a certain place, like, I don't know, maybe not everybody, me on my journey where I'm like, I want my body to feel strong and look strong. I'm not concerned about being skinny. I want to be strong. And like, that's like my goal right now. And so I'm like, I feel like I should consider more a different type of thing. Or now that I'm getting older, right, and I'm going through perimenopause and I'm doing HRT, I feel like things have to change for me again. And I think as we continue to age, when we get to these next, like what are decades in our lives, it does feel like we need to continually adjust, especially if we have a chronic disease, whether it's being treated with the GLP-1 or not. Like, it seems like that's a discussion we should continue to have with our provider, which is one of the reasons I really like your book and like what you're doing, you know? So I think that makes a lot of sense, but it blows. I always learn something new, different perspective, because you get in this zone and you think everybody's had the same experience as you, and it's just not true. You know? Yeah.
Well, and I will say actually, like a lot of times, and I feel like especially with obesity, a lot of people are like, oh, it's because they're over consuming food. They must be eating in excess. And I'm like, nope. Majority of women that I work with are under eating so significantly that like, and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
Because we're not taught this, right? Like you either have to seek it out yourself or be working with someone who's like, hey, let me tell you this. The amount of women who I've had to be like, so you're not going to like me for a little bit, but I promise it's going to get better. You just have to trust me. But like, that's scary to think about sometimes when you're like, what? But so I kind of have, like I said, this like step case. So if you've never tracked before, just start tracking calories. So you get used to like measuring out your portions, putting it on a scale or measuring cups or whatever. If you already have that, you can go more into like a calorie and protein target, because I think it's a lot easier to be like, And I think a lot of people in the GLP-1 community talk about that a lot, where they're like, we have a protein goal. We must hit our protein goal. And I'm like, you go, girl, get that protein. However, can we also please talk about like fiber and making sure you're getting adequate carbohydrates and fats, because they're very important for things like sex hormones and energy and things like that. It's very like, I mean, I could go down a rabbit hole forever. It's like very complex.
That's okay. You don't have to. We get the book. Rabbit
hole. I talk about it in the book where like people can figure out like what their overall calorie goal could be themselves, or like should be themselves. Like the equations are in the book. You can do the math with a calculator, I would recommend. But we have recommended percentage targets for protein each day. We have recommended percentage targets for carbs each day. Like, for example, the lowest your carb intake should go is 45% of your daily calorie intake, which a lot of people don't actually hit. We're usually under. And fat should only be 20 to 30% at the highest. And a lot of people are over. And so everybody's a little bit different. But generally speaking, like protein and calories, and then kind of transitioning away from looking at calories and just focusing on proteins, carbs, and fats. And I think, like I said, it can be a very beneficial educational tool to really learn like the different value of things, how you can build a plate and what that looks like. I think for someone who's had a negative experience with tracking before, like with Weight Watchers or, you know, previous things, like sometimes people have tracked macros before and it's gone very poorly because it became obsessive and very unhealthy, and they couldn't go out to dinner with their friends. And like, that is not it. That's not when it's an educational tool. That's when we have to take a step back and say, hey, our relationship with food, not in a spot to track right now. Like, this is not beneficial for us. And I think that's where, not to be like, this is where it's good to work with a dietitian, but like, this is where it's good to work with a dietitian. And I've had people before where we've been working together and I'm like, and we're pausing tracking, or we're pausing on the scale. I call it scale jail. Like, we're going to scale jail. We're going to tracking jail. Like, it's going behind bars. We're not touching it. We need to work through this side of it, where sometimes that's like, we're going to therapy and we're going to talk about this. And other times it's like, it takes somebody else to be like, okay, like I have people that I work with on a regular basis who did have really negative experiences with tracking points before. And they now can track macros in a healthy way periodically. They don't track all the time, but a lot of what that process looks like to get there is that weekly conversation of like, okay, hey, Gianna, I recognized on Saturday, I wanted to basically like lie about what I was tracking because I just ate so much. And I'm like, pause, let's really dive into that. And we go through and we talk about like, what happened? How are we feeling? What made us want to like basically lie on our tracking? And a lot of it is related back to previous like shame or bad experiences that we've had. And I'm like, no shame here.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's essentially like a very quick explanation of like what macros are. I think for people who take a GLP-1, if you are someone who wants to try it or you're in a good spot with food, it can be a really good educational tool. I also think though, it's kind of like learning to ride a bike or learning to swim. None of us just automatically knew how to swim or ride a bike. You had floaties, you had swim lessons, you had, what are those things that go on the back of the bike? Training wheels.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of the same of like, it's a new skill. You have to learn it. It takes practice, and it's okay if it's not perfect. And again, that's why I like to use ranges for flexibility, take days off of tracking. I don't believe in tracking on vacations, holidays, celebrations. Like, you don't need to track every single thing that goes into your body all the time. Anybody tells you that you do, they suck, in my opinion. Just to be very honest.
My dietitian, Gianna, said you suck. So.
Yeah, that's right. I think, I think that's really important to think about, is like, we've had people say like sort of memories over macros. I've heard people say that before. And like, definitely in our community, you know, people are focused on how do we handle side effects? And I think that's sort of where a lot of times the conversation sort of stops, right? It's how do I handle side effects? What do I do when I regain? I'm at a stall, and like all of these different things. But there's so much more to this conversation, hence this podcast, since your business, right? That is important to understand, you know? And I think like all the tips and tricks are important because there are so many things that you probably didn't even think to ask about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when we're thinking about your book, what would you say is like your favorite section? The one that you were like, oh, that's my heart. Like that's what hit for me. It's what hit for other people, or maybe some of your clients like the best. Like, what do you think is the moment, you know?
I mean, okay, I'll be honest. I think so there's like 5 big chapters in the book. There's like a side effect chapter, the nutrition blueprint chapter, the basics chapter, the lifestyle chapter. And then there is the end of the book where I've gotten a lot of questions about the end of the book because it's called Transitioning Off GLP-1s, where, fun fact, I didn't even think to include this in the book originally. The publisher had to be like, hey, what about people coming off? And I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, wait, that makes sense. Some of us lose access to it. Some of us aren't taking it forever. I'm like, you can pry my medicine from my cold, dead hands. Like, try me. But I mean, very cliche for me to say as a dietitian. I think the nutrition chapter, the nutrition blueprint chapter is my favorite because I kind of have a saying and I say it like on social media. I say it with my clients. Like a lot of times with GLP-1 medications, if we're having a side effect, chances are it's something that we are or aren't doing. Like usually it's something that we are causing by either doing something or not doing something. And I think that we can manage so much through the nutrition side of things. And that's not necessarily like counting macros, because there are a lot of people who take a GLP-1 successfully and they'll never track a day in their life, which I love that for them.
Absolutely true. Yeah.
But if you're someone coming to me that is like, I am stalled, I'm like, okay. Well, what does life look like? And you're someone who is hydrated and sleeps well and is not very stressed and like everything checks out there. It's like,
Sorry. I'm like, who's that?
I know. Honestly, I don't
know anybody like that?
I have like 2 clients right now.
2 clients.
Like, your stress levels are like of my dreams. Like I want to be as unstressed as you. But I do not have that luxury. We're all like stress basket cases over here sometimes, but sometimes it's in those moments where I'm like, okay, well, like, let's actually eat a little bit more. And then they actually like start seeing the scale go down again. Or I'm like, let's change up the frequency in which we're eating. So, and I just think too, like in the United States specifically, I can't speak to other countries because I didn't grow up there. I didn't like go to school there, but in the United States, we really are not taught much about nutrition. We aren't taught much about our bodies. And then a lot of us who are given these medications aren't really taught like what they do for us and how they impact signaling pathways in our body. Like a lot of us are just like, here's your prescription, see you in a month to see how it's going.
Hence the TikTok community, right? That's what I was saying. Like the doctors don't have the time or the know-how or the patience or the staff to be able to do any of those things. So then we just have this gap and it's us. Just us. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody's coming to save us. You know what I mean?
Nope. And you just have to figure it out. And like
to save ourselves.
So that was like a big driver too of like for this project. It's the publisher who originally was like, we're kind of wanting it in tip form. And if you can't tell, I love to talk. So I'm like, how do I do this? They were like, we want like 51,000 words. I think I delivered like 68,000 or something like that. I'm like, sorry, hope your editing team has fun.
But if it's going to be comprehensive, it needs to be comprehensive, right? Like it's not meant to be quick tips and tricks, like because they can get that anywhere. Like it's supposed to be from somebody that's educated, right?
You know, speaking of your comprehensive, because we're going to go deeper than protein here. You mentioned omega-3s, being discerning about what is in your multivitamins, your daily vitamins. And I think you also mentioned the seeds and the nuts. Those are the things that stood out to me because, you know, we're nuts. Also, because I am kind of fish averse. I don't like it unless maybe once in a while I'm in the mood to make it. My husband is so tired of salmon. Like we can't do salmon. So crazy. If I do like say a halibut steak once in like 6 months, what are some other like areas to get your omega-3s? Because I want to push that in here. Oh, and also your fats. Let's talk about all like these elements, vitamins, minerals, everything.
Yeah. That's honestly, so fun fact, it's like about 12 to 16 ounces of salmon per week if you want to get your omega-3s in from food.
Wow.
Okay.
That's a lot. Dang. No, I'll take
12 ounces of salmon?
Like a lot. It's crazy as people with obesity be like, that's a lot of food. It is like, it's hard to get it all in.
No, I've never had an issue with not getting enough calories in. That's usually no matter what, but yeah.
Personally,
so what else, where else can we get omega-3s besides, you know, salmon?
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
So
is it only, and you know what? Is it only deep water or ocean fish, or is it all fish with the omega-3s?
tuna, salmon, mackerel. You could not pay me to eat sardines or anchovies, but both of those work. Those are the big ones. Oysters too. So not like you're not going to really get it from like your like mahi or anything
Sorry,
like
but
that.
oysters look like big boogers. I'm not eating them.
I won't even
Oysters?
I won't even touch one. They freak me out.
Oysters freak you out. Yeah.
There have been a lot of Friends episode jokes in this podcast tonight. I watch it too much.
So okay. So the omega-3 supplementation, I'm not a dietitian that's overly like, oh my gosh, we all must supplement all these things because I don't know about you guys, but like it hurts to spend money on supplements sometimes. Like it's expensive and it can add up really quick. So you're never gonna then you have to remember to take them. Yep.
Yeah.
And like I can barely remember to just like put a full outfit on every day. So like it gets there. So when I talk about omega-3 supplementation in the book, if you're someone who doesn't like fish or doesn't eat fish regularly, you're probably someone who could benefit from it. You can actually get labs done to see so that you know, but non-fish sources of omega-3s, my two favorite ones are flax seeds and chia seeds because you can blend these into like a smoothie so easy. Yes. And I think too, something that I talk about, I like actually about like flipped my phone off of a ledge and like never picked it up again when I saw someone on social media being like, smoothies are terrible if you're on a GLP-1. And I was like, I'm going to smack you. And it was a physician. And I'm like, squeeze me. Yeah. But a lot of times if we have really low appetite or we're nauseous and we don't really want to eat something, a smoothie can be a great way to get a lot of calories in and not a lot of density. But putting
also sometimes they'll put protein in smoothies. Like that's a thing too.
Like they're great options. If anybody ever tells you that, they're wrong. And you can tell them that I said that.
Right.
I have
a dietitian.
I have in many instances, I should make this into a t-shirt for myself. I have messaged because I girl boss Too Hard to the Sun outside of being a dietitian in the nonprofit world. And in this role, sometimes I'll message the executive director and be like, in case anybody says that I said this, I did. And I meant it.
Just to get ahead of it.
Yeah, because I know they're going to email and complain about me, but like I meant it.
Okay, well, you know.
She backs me up. She's like, oh no, I think it's fine. I provide all the receipts. So like I'm in the right. Like I did it. But I think flax seeds and chia seeds are really nice because easy to put into a smoothie. You don't even know they're there. Chia seeds, easy to put in your overnight oats. Like easy to just toss in to a lot of things without thinking about it. And honestly, like
also kind of good laxatives too.
Oh yeah.
They're very good sources of fiber. So there's that. Your other sources are going to be more like leafy vegetables. But if I'm being very honest with you, you would have to eat a lot. A lot of like leafy greens and other things to get enough omega-3s in, which is why I say
how many of chia seeds or something, like how many, like, you know, is it 1 spoonful? Like, is that it?
Very good question. I actually have a chart that I love.
Oh,
and I can tell you the numbers. It's actually kind of crazy when you think of like the like difference in numbers of like food sources. So salmon, for example, just 3 ounces of it gives you 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams, depending on the salmon and where it's coming from. Where like, for example, spinach, a cup of spinach only gives you 370 milligrams.
I do love stuff.
But crazy thing about this.
Stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good texture. Like it's fine.
Yeah, it's great texture. Yeah.
Chia seeds, an ounce of chia seeds is 4,900 milligrams of omega-3.
Whoa, that's crazy.
So if you're someone who doesn't like fish, yeah, it's perfect. Like, right, slide it in. So if you're someone who doesn't like fish, if you can regularly incorporate like flax or chia seeds, you don't really need an omega-3 supplement. But if you're someone who's not going to do that regularly, who's really only relying on like leafy veggies, things like that, or some nuts, because walnuts are a source as well. But like if that's more you, then you probably are someone who could benefit from it. Walnuts, an ounce of walnuts does have 2,500 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acid content. But then like you look at like Brussels sprouts and a cup only has 260 milligrams.
Wow.
So that's kind of like where that difference like lands there for omega-3 specifically. Where like you don't have to love fish, but maybe you could love like some walnuts or some chia seeds
Put
or
it
some
in my
black
chicken
seeds.
salad.
Yeah, I like throwing. Have you ever made like peanut butter toast with some chia seeds on it? I think it adds like a nice.
That sounds good. No, I have not. I haven't done that.
Sorry, with some raspberries on top too. Little drizzle of honey. Just throwing it out there.
Now, I know
Fantastic.
in your book, Kat was telling me specifically, because she and I both struggle with BED, that and we've had doctors come on here before to talk about fasting and intermittent fasting. And like I have blood sugar issues, so I don't do that. But there are people that, I mean, like that could be a thing.
Yeah.
You talk about that in your book. Can you tell us a little bit about your position on that?
Yeah, I am firmly in the camp of there's nuance to everything, but as a dietitian, I typically don't recommend fasting, especially if you're on a GLP-1 medication. And that's multifaceted. So number one, kind of like you've said, like you're not fasting. Well, first of all, if you go long periods without eating, you're actually more likely to overconsume food because you've gone too long without eating. So like it literally just feeds that cycle of then overconsuming later because you weren't consuming regularly. So there's that. But specific with GLP-1 medications, right? We know these medicines slow down how food, like the rate at which food moves through our stomach to our intestines and then through our intestines. Eating regularly helps keep that regular, like bowel movements regular. So if you're then adding in additional prolonged fasting periods, you can actually increase your constipation. When you are more constipated, your reflux can get worse, like your nausea can get worse. And then you get into the cycle of like, you're not actually eating, not because you're fasting, but because you just don't feel good. So I know it just also is not super helpful for like actually balancing your blood sugar throughout the day. And,
pretty bad, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when people talk about like, well, I've seen studies where intermittent fasting was wonderful. I'm like, and who were they studying?
Yeah.
It's almost always men who saw the benefit from it. So if you're a dude and you feel like you can like rock out with it and you're fine, great for you. However, us as women, we do not have the same luxury that men do. We have hormones that fluctuate every single day throughout an entire month. Or we enter perimenopause and then things are even more off the board. And then you can be postmenopausal. Or I do love HRT. I know you're talking about that, Kat. My mom started HRT and we all thanked her for that too. Shout out to my mom again. Now, I tried to get her on it for years and she finally went on it and was like, wait, I feel so much better. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. But for us women, we fluctuate so much throughout every single day throughout the month. The best thing that we can give our body is consistency, especially with nourishment. And so when we are going really long periods of time without eating, that's not consistency for our body. That's just adding stress onto our systems. And as women, we don't need any more stress on our bodies. Like we already have enough. So that's kind of a very surface level answer to that. But if someone was like, I'm convinced that I need to intermittent fast, my position is more asking them like why they feel they need to do that first and trying to understand like where it comes from. But again, the one last thing related to GLP-1s I can say on it is like a lot of people end up under eating on GLP-1s because their appetite is already suppressed. They get full very quickly. So if you are taking an eating window and you're trying to eat all your food in the day within like 6 to 8 hours, no freaking way you're getting enough food in that 6 to 8 hours where then you're going to undereat.
Which is great at first, right? In a way, right? Because it's like, but eventually that's really going to, just like we did when we were young, it's going to mess you up.
It's going to catch up to you. And
it does. I talk about very openly because when we first started this, there was no guidance, right? Very openly, I ate way too little. I would struggle to get in 500 calories, like really fighting myself. But remember how we talked about in the beginning, like you were like, or some point because we talk all the time, but we were talking about sort of like that piece where it's like, it's something you're doing or not doing.
Yeah.
It's because I wasn't eating. If I would eat, if I would just commit to taking a few bites of something, it would re-engage my brain, right? Like I call it the 3-bite rule when I'm doing lives because I would just commit to like, and it's just like my brain's like, oh yeah, we do need to do this. You know what I mean? Like, but stuff like that. And I think that it seems fine and dandy and you're very excited when it first starts and you can not eat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like kind of like mind altering but like I know my friends like Kat are like, I always eat, but there a lot of people will not hardly eat anything. And I'm going to tell you, when I was 16, because I was always trying to figure this out. I saw like an ad and like, I'm an old lady, like in like a newspaper, like I don't know, classifieds or something where it was like this to lose weight. And I had a little bit of job and a little bit of money. And so I bought this book and here's what I remember in that book. It stayed with me. It's 46 now, right? It said, when your stomach is growling, tell yourself that is your body eating your fat. And then you will be okay with your stomach growling.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff I've been reading and doing forever. Right. So like it's stuff like that. So like, if you come with that mindset into something that gives you to where it turns off food noise for me and hunger, like to me, they're different things. Right. And it turns off both, that can be incredibly detrimental to your health. And you will, and over time, lose muscle, and you will over time become weak, and you will over time cause a lot of other issues that will come with that. And then you're back where you started. You just happen to be in a smaller body, but you're still sick, So I think like this is all stuff I learned the hard way. And I feel like a grandma sometimes trying to tell people, please don't make the mistakes I've made, but don't eat, please, God. Please eat.
It is actually wild how much of my life I spend just trying to get people to eat.
Yeah.
And because
it's because of diet culture.
We've been so conditioned to like eat less, move more, that like actually probably the biggest challenge that I face is getting people to listen to me when I say that we need to eat more. When I do all the calculations for someone and I'm like, hey, actually, like you should have been eating X amount. They're like, there's no way. And I'm like, oh, but there is. There is a way and we're going to do it.
Yeah.
It's going to be uncomfortable and you're not going to like me for a little bit, but I promise you when you're feeling better and actually able to maintain your weight loss in the future, you're going to love me. And I literally 7-8 hours ago today, I was with a client and she's on a GLP1 and she said to me, she was like, because I was just gone in Europe for 3 weeks. So I hadn't seen her in 3 weeks. She was like, she went up in dose and she was like, you know what? I'm just not hungry, but every 4 hours I heard your voice in my head. So I just took a few bites of food. And she was like, and then I felt hungry and I was able to eat. And she was like, but I only did that because I remember you saying that even if I don't feel like I need to eat, I still need to eat. And I'm like, bingo.
Did you hear that, everybody?
Go.
Don't screw up.
Yep. You know what? And so, and speaking of eating, you mentioned in your book, I call it the fart walks. Sorry, because somebody called it on TikTok, fart walks. To take a walk to help digest your food, have a fart walk. That's what. But also, Tim, this is a very important one that I read in your book, and it makes me think of Claire on TikTok, touching the grass, grounding. Some of us on our socials, we need to go outside and touch grass, right? But it's actually a thing in the book. Grounding.
It is.
Touch the grass.
You know what's funny?
And fart walk.
Fart walk. There's the grass. All about it.
I don't know what the exact chapter title is now, but originally I think I did label this chapter like touch, like go outside and or maybe like touch grass or something. And the publisher came back and was like, love the message, but like we need to make it a little less like aggressive. And I was like, I'm going to go touch grass. I will. I have to give my husband a quick shout out.
It was a mistake.
It would have been funny. Well, so when my sister, my sister husband and I were like texting, and my dad was in the group chat too. And my sister was like, everybody needs to touch some grass. Like we were just at a tense moment in our vacation. And she was like, everybody needs to touch some grass. And my husband replied, because we had just been at Pompeii. We were on the bus back from Pompeii to the cruise ship. And my husband literally replies and goes, the best I can do is some volcanic ash. And I was like, I love you. I was like, he's so
literal,
just
right?
at it. But so the two things, the walk thing. So actually for digestive purposes, going for just like a little walk, it does not have to be fast. You don't even have to go outside. Just walk around your house and pick up all the things that you said you would put away later that you didn't actually put away later. Or all the cups that you left on your nightstand and your desk that like you said you were going to put in the dishwasher.
Everywhere. Yep. Like what?
Exactly that, Kim, those like 3 bottles right there. So it can be, and like sometimes I like tell my clients, I'm like, make it a little challenge. How many things can you pick up in that 5 to 10 minutes? So it's not like you have to walk in like a line or a circle. It's just like getting up and walking around for 5 to 10 minutes. It can actually just kind of help keep everything moving because it's kind of like that
why the
same
vibration plate works too.
yeah, vibration plate can also be great for that. But like when you think about it, you should never just like eat and then lay horizontally because then you're just like laying there kind of like, oh, I don't feel good. But actually, from a blood sugar perspective, we actually can see you can have a better blood sugar response post meal if you walk around for 5 to 10 minutes, because it actually can help with the digestion and then absorption, which then directly impacts your blood sugar levels. So that's kind of why I wanted to like put that in, because it's something that's so simple that you don't even have to leave where you live to do. That can be really helpful. The other flip side of it, so for the touch grass entry, sometimes I feel like, oh gosh, I think back to like I said, I've wanted to hug younger me so many times. Sometimes being on this journey on a GLP-1, a lot of people, again, are focused around the weight loss aspect of it, but sometimes it just is so overwhelming between the information you absorb on social media. I really don't think we were all meant to absorb as much information as we do.
None of us were meant to absorb any of that.
Between like news and social media, it's just like, holy shnikes, like between the work that like we all go to work, or some of us, maybe don't go to work, but we keep small humans alive all day. That's like more than work. That's like more work than I ever do. Right. So like all of us have these different stressors and inputs that we're getting throughout the day, like professionally, personally. Then we get on social media and we're seeing all these things. And when I was quoting Leslie Knope earlier about everybody, like nobody loves facts and science, the things that you see go viral on social media are typically related to weight. And I see this all the time because I am someone who I've only gone live on TikTok twice, you guys. And it was for other people where like someone was like, I've never seen you on live before. And I'm like, well, this would be because it's my first one. And everyone was like, what? And I'm like, I typically hide. But sometimes I'll be there because I like listen to you guys. Like I love Kim when you're getting ready in the morning. Like I'll just be listening while I'm like doing something else. But like I see things in the comment section and I'm like, oh, sweet baby Jesus, like you guys, like this is kind of scary. And so the virality of people being like, oh my gosh, I started my GLP-1 and I lost 40 pounds in 4 months. And I'm like, holy guacamole. I mean, there's got to be some nuance there. Maybe you were in a body that could let go of that much that quickly, but like odds are probably not for the average person. And I think when we see all these people talking about these gigantic results and all these things, like it adds up. And so it's twofold. Like sometimes we all just need to like go touch, like literally like touch some grass outside and like just focus on like being away from technology, being away from social media, just focus on our surroundings. And so I really like that grounding technique of like, you literally go outside and I want you to physically like touch the ground, like touch grass, put it under your toes, feel it. I mean, if you live by a beach, go touch some sand. I live in Colorado. We are a landlocked state. There are no beaches here. So we're touching some grass. But I think that that's also a big part too. It then leads to, that's a really great de-stressing technique, because if you are someone who is chronically in a state of stress, that will directly work against you losing any type of weight, even with a GLP-1.
Absolutely.
Your body has to feel safe enough to let go of weight, because your body does not care that you want it to be a smaller size or a different number.
No.
It cannot differentiate that you are actively trying to take weight off your body versus you being in a situation where it's just coming off because you don't have access to food or you're restricted on resources. Like it can't differentiate that. We're not robots. We don't have chips to do that. Yet, at least. I mean, people said we'd have flying cars, and we don't. Right. Like, we don't. I mean, but
it's weird.
You're right.
So
I just think it's not the infrastructure for it, though. I feel like it's possible. You know what I mean?
I mean, I would do it.
Yeah, me too. I'm flying car.
I'm the person that gets in the driverless like ride shares, like the Waymos. Have you guys seen those?
No, you know.
Oh my gosh, they're only in a few different cities, but like. They are the best rides I've had in my entire life. So, like my cousin and my sister are in the backseat with me, like, we're gonna die. Like, this is the end. And I'm like, this is so lovely. There's no human in here. It doesn't smell weird. Nobody was smoking in here. I'm like, this is wonderful. And they're bringing it to Colorado and people are like, oh, never get in one of those. And I'm like, oh my God, sign me up. Where can I take my first ride? Like, let's do it.
That's funny.
So I would get in a flying car. Sign me up.
Yeah.
If that's how I go, that's how I go.
I'm very gay. That's a way to go, but I believe it with as much as you travel and stuff. You know what I mean? Okay. So, obviously we talked quite a bit. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So we want everybody to know about the book. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Where can people find you on your socials, and where can they get your book? We will put the link in there, but if someone's just searching and they want to go look real quick, where can they find it?
Yeah. So the book is available at all major retailers. You can actually do audiobook, ebook, or paperback. I have had multiple people tell me this week that they listened to the audiobook and now they're buying the paperback because they want to take a highlighter to it. So I do love that for them. But yeah, you can listen to it on all major like audiobook platforms. If you like podcasts, a lot of times you'll also like audiobooks. So that's available, but you can get it like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, all the big retailers. You can grab the book from there. On social media, for a little bit longer, I'll be on TikTok. I don't foresee me staying on TikTok when it changes in the future. But for now, you can find me on TikTok at Dietitian Gianna. Dietitian is with a T, everybody, by the way. And Gianna is Gianna. And then on Instagram, I'm at dietitian.gianna. Hot pink profile picture. You literally can't miss it. Like I said, I share way more on Instagram. So I would say come hang out with me on Instagram. I try on TikTok, but TikTok's just more random stuff. So I am sharing more on Instagram. I have the book. I have a community. I have group programs. I have all these different things and ways you can work with me, in as simple as the book to like one-on-one work. So
So we'll put all of that in the show notes so that you guys can connect with Gianna and that you can pick up the book. And other than that, it has been a lovely conversation. Thanks so much for sharing all this and sharing your journey and your story. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And Plus Size Crew, we will see you next week. Hasta la pasta. Let me tell you a quick story. I was telling Kat how I was regaining weight after my 100-pound loss using GLP-1 medications, and I was having snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m. and I had hot flashes, and I was worried. But Kat was like, listen, I went through this last year. It's perimenopause, and I started HRT, and she used this company called Winona. So I started going there to see if this was something that was going with me. Turns out it was, because I'm 46. And it's been amazing. It's taken a while to find the right dose, but once I did, it's just been huge. I've been sleeping. I feel more myself again. And the hot flashes are gone, which is, geez, really bad. So I will tell you, it's just been so big for me. And so I wanted to partner with them on the podcast because obviously many of our listeners are going through this same age range and definitely are having these issues. And there's just no need for you to suffer. So if you go to the link that's in our link tree, you can click on that and save money. If you go there and you meet all the criteria, and this might be something for you to try. So I just want to make sure you had this great resource because it's just been such a big difference for me and Kat. Again, you can go to the link in our link tree and get what you need. Today's episode is brought to you by Ro, a telehealth platform that's changing the game of GLP-1 access. What sets Ro apart? Ro understands the challenges of navigating insurance hurdles and the skyrocketing prices of GLP-1 medications. That's why they specialize in getting insurance approvals for GLP-1s. And if insurance is a barrier, they go a step further by prescribing brand name zepbound vials for prices close to those of compound GLP-1s. With Ro, you're not just getting a prescription, you're getting a partner in your journey that's helping you access affordable treatment and guiding you every step of the way. Whether it's insurance approvals or cost-effective alternatives, Ro is here to make sure that you get the medication you need. Visit ro.co/plussides with a Z today to see how they can help you take control of your weight management journey with affordable, accessible care. That's ro.co/plussides with a Z, making healthcare work for you. Check out the link in our show notes for more details. Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity related
diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.